you can often see the difference between a good leader and a bad leader. Leadership is definitely not a position at all.
A leader who wants to have followers is not a leader. Care for them, protect them, back them up.
If you ever say you're going to do something, make sure you do it.
Don't allow anyone to try to take over and make you to betray these values. Always follow up your promises.
Welcome to the podcast From Cold to Close. My name is Saeed and I'm the founder here at SRC Growth Partner, a growth company that helps professional services firms from around the world increase their revenue and profitability by acquiring new clients. My guest today is Stavros Vathitas, founder of Diomas Group, a corporate training company that's been transforming leadership development for the past 8 years. Specializing in leadership developments, large-scale corporate events, and workshops, Stavros and his team work with organizations to build the leaders of tomorrow. And his approach has clearly resonated. Diomas has been ranked in the top 10 for leadership training on FindCourses for 4 consecutive years. Stavros, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. Thank you, Said. It's great being here with you.
No worries at all. I'm looking forward to this conversation because I think one of my favorite topics to discuss with anyone is leadership, right? Being a leader myself in my own organization and having worked under leaders in my early career, you can often see the difference between a good leader and a bad leader and how much of an effect it can have on your peers, your team, your colleagues along the way. And so it's really an important topic for me as well, trying to be a good leader for those internally as well. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation and speaking with someone that is an expert in leadership. But before we jump into that side of the conversation, I guess for the viewers and listeners out there who may not know who Stavros is, maybe you could share a little bit more about yourself, your background, and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, so I've been in training for about 20 years. Started accidentally. Always I want to become a teacher, to be in education. I think before that, even something that has helped me a lot with being in leadership and understand leadership and being a way of life, it's my professional career as an athlete for the national team of athletics in Greece. After that, I totally finished and I start being in training. As I said, accidentally, I wasn't sure that I really like it. And then start growing. And I was really, really happy. And now we're here all these years. As I said, 20 years myself, but 8 years for Diomas. And working now with leaders of all ages. Because that's important to understand that leadership, it's not just a position, it's a way of life, it's attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. It's leadership is definitely not a position or it's not management or it's not anything like that. It's definitely a way of being able to share ideas, bring people together and actually get them into moving in the right direction. I think it's really fascinating that you started off as a professional athlete before going into corporate training. Can you share some of the aspects that mirror good leadership to what an athlete would typically go through?
Let's start from a good leader or a bad leader, okay? So a leader who wants to have followers is not a leader. So you need to self-lead yourself to understand where you want to take your life. And that is an athlete. What an athlete does. They're very dedicated. They're very determined. They have this vision and no one can come and interrupt them. No one can interrupt them or take them out of the way. So this is very similar how someone who really understands leadership and it's a good leader can do with their professional life. So those days, if you told me that, you're leading yourself somehow or you're a leader, I would say, no, I don't really understand because leadership is a position. But now I think a lot of the aspects of the professional athletic career have helped me to shape the leader I want to be and also be able to understand leadership in a way that even the best, and in brackets, leaders that I have work with are not able to register and understand it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of then, and it's easy to misalign what a leader is. At Diomas, you've been nominated as a top 10 for leadership training on FindCourses for 4 consecutive years, right? What do you believe sets your leadership training apart from others in the market?
So one of my philosophies, I never go into the classroom or the meeting room like I'm the expert and I know everything and you don't know anything. So
Sure.
I think you need to approach all these sessions with any member of staff like it's a journey where you learn from them. So I think it's the approach we have from the beginning. It's very personal. I never see them as because we're not a big consultancy. So I need to be personal with the people that I'm going to partner, I'm going to work with. So it's probably the approach. It's the research that we do a lot. It's that we are able to understand the trends of each era, to be able to read the young generation, because the young generation are the ones that they drive leadership and where leadership will go in 10 years and 15 years. So if you're not able to be a leader who are going to understand what the young people need, you won't be able to lead them. So I think it's maybe all this, way of also the way that we deliver in the room and the way we work with them. I think that all these changes, they make the difference. Another thing I think it's very important, what we do that not a lot of training providers do. After we finish any session, 3-day course or an academy, we always follow up for between 3 to 6 months. So we are together with them in that journey and we'll say, okay, what are the challenges that you face and where can we help you, or what you think that we probably deliver in this room that maybe doesn't sound right when you go to incorporate that in your daily routine, or how to implement that, and then to see that happening.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense that the follow-up between in 3 to 6 months, ensuring that the lessons that you were able to share and for them to absorb, you can ensure also the fact that it's actually being implemented down the line, right? And the teachings are being absorbed following your session. So that's always interesting to hear. Talk to me about larger corporate clients versus smaller clients, right? How do you design a leadership program for a bigger client versus a smaller client that would require a few people to do?
Yeah. So our name in Greek means just the two of us. So we'll say it's us and them, okay, and the client. So there's nothing in between. We don't reinvent the wheel. Okay, so whoever says reinvents the wheel, they're lying. So we have there is always a skeleton where we need to start from. But what we do, we sit down with the people who are interested in having their staff, I wouldn't say trained, attending the sessions. But then once we agree on an draft outline, because then the people who are going to attend, they fill their own forms and they mention the challenges, what the targets, the vision for the session. So we take this as well and we create a session. So if the client is small or large, the approach is the same. Okay. The larger, of course, the larger partner, the larger company will have more challenges and as more people around. But sometimes this can be even easier because the smaller company can be a family company or a company that they say, oh, we are a family. But actually, that's the biggest trap that you can put your staff in, because the staff need to say we're a family, not the CEO. You see, so that's the issue. But the approach is the same, and we say that in everything we do, it doesn't matter how big or small the client is, we respect them all equally.
I think that it's really interesting you mentioned that. If a CEO says that we are a family company, it means very little compared to if an employee said that. And and that comes from good leadership and good culture building. And it's easy to say something as a leader, oh, we do this or we do that, or this is the type of people we are. But your people who you are leading are the marker of exactly what that is, right? So what they say is usually what is true. So it's a really interesting insight you provided there. What's one leadership trend or I guess buzzword that you think is overrated, and what's one that's genuinely transformative?
So I think that we're a family. It's the one overrated. It has been used a lot, and even by people that actually should be embarrassed sometimes using that, because the way that the family is. The other word that leadership, I think it's as I said at the beginning, it's the expression's way of life. it's that lead by example. It's really important for leadership, and it's not just I say it for the sake of saying it. It's has lost a bit the meaning lately. You can see they don't use it a lot because they said, "Oh, you're a leader. I lead by example." But actually, it needs to come back there. Yeah, you need to lead. Leading by example is, and you want to prove that your company is a family. It's like a family. Then care for them. Protect them, back them up. Don't push them under the bus. So that I think this is the two things that we need to understand. It's care. I think it's maybe care is a better word. That's underrated, and family it's overrated.
Yeah. I love it. And I think you're spot on there. It's leading by example is one of the quickest way to build trust with those who you are leading, right? They need to feel like you are showing them that you're willing to do what you say you will do, right? Or not just getting them to do things that you are unwilling to do. And building that trust in that relationship and the feeling of care, as you mentioned, comes from that. I want to touch on a topic which is interesting to me post-pandemic, right? So the world of leadership changed post-pandemic with the rise of remote working and office culture changing and coming into the office maybe once, twice, 3 times, maybe even never coming into the office. How does someone become a good leader in the environment or the office environment now where it's majority remote working?
Yeah, I think the people who were before micromanaging, they have that problem. Okay. So if you were giving autonomy to your employees when you had an office, I think you will work really well as long as you really try to keep that social element for your team. So it doesn't matter if you don't see them, you can have a team meeting or drinks over, so you still know someone's face. The people who really suffer now, they were the micromanagers. This must be killing them. And I don't think that the people who lead the team remotely and micromanaging is one of the main elements of their character, of their leadership style, probably they will resign and try to find another environment where the actual presence is there. Because they need to be the leaders, they need to be seen that they're leaders. That's the really, after pandemic, has kept the good leaders, and the ones, which is good and bad, is still, it's not the right expression because a good leader is the one that can impact many people's life. So, and a bad leader is someone who cannot touch anyone's life, cannot change anyone's, So whoever is good for me can be bad for you. So that's why also I tell people that if you come to the session to become, after we finish, an amazing leader, it's not going to happen. So you can take your things and we can say goodbye. You need to hear, to listen, to be open to new ideas, new perspectives. And then the one thing that you can keep and you think can work with your team, or work with you, with your style, then you take with you and how you can impact your teams, motivate and make them engaged. So it's different what is good or bad leader.
I think you're spot on. Primarily around the micromanagement element. I think there's if you've been in work and you've ever had a manager or a leader above you that has micromanaged, you know how difficult it can be to actually feel comfortable to have autonomy in what you do and actually end up doing good work. Right? And I think what you mentioned there is a really interesting insight again, in that when post-pandemic, what has happened is those who are constantly micromanaging the colleagues in a lower position than them, they no longer have that level of control that they once did. And if they did, they are pestering those in their team and most likely will receive poor reviews for their conduct, right? And trust has become more and more important in the current climate of working as a leader, understanding that your team has the autonomy, needs the autonomy with remote working, but you need to also trust that they will do the work to the level that they need to do it. I think just by pushing ourselves into the post-pandemic world, it's forced people to have to pivot in the way they manage and lead. So I think, again, some really interesting insights there.
Can I add something here, Said?
Yeah,
Because
please.
You said something very good. You said you need to trust they will do the job that they've been delegated to do. Because if they're not doing the job, they should have been your team,
Yes.
right? So it's again part of that leadership behavior that if something doesn't work, you need to be the leader who makes a decision and said, my team, or for example, Stavros, creates a big gap in my team. Why am I going to keep just because I don't want to have to destroy the harmony? No, everyone's happy. No, not everyone is happy. So if you don't trust the people who will do the job, then you haven't employed the right people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. It becomes a downstream effect, right? You're going, okay, well, if these aren't the right people, then you go, okay, well, we're actually going wrong further back in the process of actually hiring the right people, as opposed to like actually dealing with the people we have and what's going wrong. It's a root cause analysis, essentially. You're figuring out that that's actually the issue is not the symptom, it's the actual issue of hiring the individual. So I think that's this great point that you mentioned there. In this segment of the podcast, we like to call the Entrepreneur's Room. And that's a series of questions that we like to ask all of our guests to give our viewers and listeners an opportunity to understand how business owners and business leaders think and operate when running their business. So at this stage of the podcast, I always like to ask the same question, which is, how are you currently spending your days as a leader of your business?
I think 80% is business development and building relationships. I want to build, and it's not when I say relationship, I really mean long-lasting relationships, because the most of my clients are returning clients. So
Sure.
if you don't build that relationship, which brings actually built on trust, right? We said, so I cannot go and tell people you need to trust your stuff when I cannot build a relationship based on trust. So yes, 80% will be business development and relationship building.
I love it. Love it. In terms of then the most important metrics for your business, what are the most important metrics that you are measuring within the business?
It's people satisfaction and how many of my clients keep coming back. So I know we need profit, we need money because it's our gas, our petrol, right, to move. However, if you see and if you want someone that you really respect your work and you honor your clients, I think you would expect and you would wish, I would say, not expect, wish them to come back. And when you receive feedback from the people that you were in touch, and they say, I really like the way that you contacted me or you approached me, and the people who attended, they're really happy, or you receive a feedback in the middle of, out of the blue, and they said, oh my God, that was amazing. For me, this is the metric. Maybe it's not as, say, oh, I had 100 clients and I made 1 million. Or I think for me, it's more that how the people felt. Okay? And also through the feedback, I received. And of course, this being in the top 10 for 4 years, that's a metric. That's people that I don't know, and they didn't have to vote, they didn't have to say, oh my God, an amazing course, took the time to put us there. Or they visited the course, and they want to be part of the community. So I think that my metrics, maybe they're not as tangible, but it's how we make them work for us.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I've heard that many times before when asking that question. And it's primarily because when you build the trust and you know that the people are happy, they're more likely to come back to you. And that's a good marker of a good business, a good foundation, and consistent business coming in through word of mouth and referrals, right? And so that leads me to my next question is, how are you currently growing your business? What kind of business development activities are you doing? Obviously, you mentioned you do 80% business development with your time. So what are you currently doing?
So we have our associates around Europe and the Middle East. So they help us as well. But very recently, we participated in Qatar's Sustainability Week, where we delivered pro bono workshops to organizations that want to support sustainability, because sustainability is not just climate, it's everywhere. You need to be a sustainable leader. You will have to find a way how you will last. So it can be events. We can be also people introduce us, and we meet them. But also can be some cold emails, and where we have to do it. No one
Yeah.
really likes them because they're very impersonal. But unfortunately, the way life is, people don't have time to meet all the time. So, and you need to make it really punchy, very small, because they don't have time. So they're not going to read if you send 2 pages email. It has to be punchy, what you have achieved, what you're looking for, and how they can reach you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love the fact that you mentioned cold email, because I think that's outreach in general. It gets a bad rap, primarily because there's lots of people doing it, and it can be everyone's getting it. I get 10s, 15 emails every single day going, everyone does, right? And so it's really important, because you never know what place someone is at, right? If it's the right time, right, for anyone. So actually going out and trying to win business is part of the part and parcel. Just like how you would go out to a networking event. Cold email is a level of networking, right? You're just trying to get in front of the right people. Or it's like a level of advertising. You're trying to get in front of the right people and advertise who you are, what you do, and how you can help them. So I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that in all the avenues that you use for business development.
But
So you've been running. Yeah, please.
Here, apologize again for interrupting, but one thing, when you write that cold email, you need to think it through. Don't send just an email. Don't talk like I'm your friend, because we receive emails, cold emails, and they talk to you like they know you. Hey, how are you doing? Yeah, I thought to catch up or something. They're using even words that my generation, I cannot understand. So you need to, as I said, you need to write that email thinking that someone will give you only 5 seconds, if that.
Yes. Yeah. It needs to be short, snappy, punchy, as you said, and it needs to articulate exactly what you do and how you can help someone else.
Exactly.
Enough for someone to just go, okay, just do a reply, right? You're not trying to sell them right there and then. You're selling the reply for them to try and get in touch with you. Excuse me. So in terms of, you've been running the business for 8 years now, and I'm sure you've made many mistakes along the way. What are the biggest lessons you could share with us today for the viewers and listeners?
One thing that the reason we started this business, we're 2 founders, because as I said, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to create something that wouldn't make the same mistakes when we were employees in an organization. So I always believe that you need to follow your values, what you represent. Don't allow anyone to try to take over and make you to betray these values. Maybe this comes from my athletic career, right? Because that was it, and I believe in that. And sometimes you need to go with your gut and always follow up your promises.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that last one. Always follow up with your promises. And I think that's such an important thing, because that lays in with a value that I hold very dear, which is integrity. And my dad always used to say, as I was growing up, if you ever say you're going to do something, make sure you do it, right? Or if you ever do anything, do it properly. So leading with integrity and kind of, if you get follow up with your promises. I love that. Stavros, it's been a fantastic conversation. I think it's been really insightful, and you've been a great guest today. I like to end every single podcast with the same question. And that is, if you had a magic wand you could wave to solve one of your business problems, what would that be?
Like, as I have integrity and I follow up with my promises, I would like also the people who I trust them with my time and my knowledge to do the same. That's all. And respect. I want to be respect everywhere, to be like a nice awning, like a nice tent, and respect each other. It doesn't matter if we have to work together or if we see that actually for any reason, cannot work or cannot collaborate. Just respect each other, respect each other's time, knowledge, and, expertise.
I love it. Love it. Stavros, thank you very much for sharing your time today. For all those out there that might want to reach out to you, may want to contact you, how would they find you? Where would they go to contact you?
They can go either to our website and contact us there, so diomasgroup.com, or either they can send me a private straight email direct to me, stavros@diomasgroup.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you again, Stavros. It's been brilliant.
Thank you very much, Said. It was really good. Thank you.
Yeah.